Good morning, Bridge Nation. How you all doing today? My name is Richie B.
Yours truly, DJ Audley in the building.
Rocking till 10 o'clock. On the 99s, as we like to call it. We're all across Jamaica in every nook and cranny. We're all over the world, and especially in the Jamaican diaspora. Welcome, Big Sounds. All right, a few facts that I came across, by the way, interesting facts. One is, more human twins are being born now than ever before.
I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew
Is it a case of people getting more fertile, or is it that is it the food consumption?
I don't know.
Or
Something
what
in the
are they
water.
consuming?
I don't know.
Something maybe in the water. Who knows?
Yeah.
Something in the air.
What do you know?
This also will make you say, what the fact? The first person convicted of speeding was going at 8 miles per hour.
What? The first
That is a fact.
I don't know.
I don't know where it happened. I can't give you any further details. But only 8 miles per hour, and they got a speeding ticket. My God, that must be in Snail's Land.
I don't know, man. Yeah, no, go on.
Listen, 8 miles.
When I walk it, what else?
That's walking speed.
Walk?
Yeah.
That's a crawl.
That's a crawl, yeah. Come on.
Yeah, it's like a...
And then I know you guys are planning to. We were talking about it the other day. You're planning to get some new vehicles, right?
Yeah, man. Sure. Okay.
Right?
Which oddly.
Man, silent. Anyhow,
What do you mean?
the new car smell
Yeah.
that you will get when you buy your new
geez.
vehicles. It is the scent of dozens of chemicals.
Oh.
Yeah, that is a fact.
Okay.
I can't give any more details than that.
I can live with that.
Yeah,
It's not
dozens of
harmful.
chemicals. Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure.
guess it's not.
I guess it's not
I would,
harmful. Yeah.
And some people like to have that new car
Car
smell.
smell.
They keep the plastic on for a long time.
Nice summertime.
On the seats, yeah.
No, sir. Me, you that row me.
New car smells nice.
Yeah, you like.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but
Regular and buy a new car. Yes, okay. All right. On that note, that was WTF.
what the fact?
Lovely look, yeah, give them out.
All right, so it's time for updates, and here we go, Manchester United fans, football fans.
I'm listening.
So Manchester United have a young baller there. Technically, still have a young baller, very talented. His name is Mason Greenwood, and if you're not familiar with the story, you know he had to be suspended from the team because of he assaulted his girlfriend, physically assaulted his girlfriend. As we know, he faced some time behind bars. He was in lockup, and but you know, awaiting trial and charges and all of that. But what happened was that the charges were dropped. So what happened is that everybody, you know, Man U fans, football fans, Mason Greenwood fans, if him still have any, they're wondering, will Mason be able to play for the club? Well, Eric Ten Hag, he reached out to the player, saying that, look, I understand your situation, but it's not in my hands. So he's saying that. So what's happening from Manchester United right now, Bridge Nation, is that it's up to both the men's team, and the women's team to come to a final decision whether or not Mason Greenwood would continue at Manchester United.
He's gonna have some problems.
Well, he does.
He does?
Yeah. So I haven't been hearing much from the men's side, but the women right away, the Manchester United women's football team right away saying that, look, they don't want him back.
I expected that
At the club. So I'm waiting to hear what the men's side have to say. But as I think, Richie, for Mason Greenwood right now, I think his time at United is over. To be fair, and I probably go as far to say his time in the Premier League.
So even although the charges were dropped, I mean, he's still being punished.
Yeah, because there was evidence. Video, audio tapes of him losing his cool.
The courts got it wrong.
Yeah, something went awry, and charges were just dropped or suspended. Not quite sure what the terminology was.
We have always heard about guilty, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
But guilty, even after
innocent after proven guilty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's kind of strange, but let's see what the men's what the vote is. I guess they're going to take it down to a vote.
Yeah, the players first, and but even though I think it's a good gesture from United making the players have a decision both the men's and women's sides, but I feel like it's going to come down to the ownership as well. I think they're going to have a big say in it, and also the fans, because you know you're a club big with the fans. You know, so a lot of persons have input in this one, but the women not having it.
Oh boy. I'm not going to call it yet. I'm going to watch and see what happens.
Talented
he
youth,
has been a very
Talented
useful player,
youth, yeah.
and has made some sizable contributions on the field of play.
He made a mistake,
and he might be paying for that for a long time to come.
He has to.
Yeah. So, we'll see what goes. We'll see what happens.
For real.
I'm going to highlight a few of the Jamaican artists who have recently been doing quite well on U.S. television. My good friend Anthony Turner actually wrote an article. He sent it to me, and I think it's published in one of the newspapers here. And elsewhere, and he's highlighting some of the iconic artists out of Jamaica. Bob Marley included, Marcia Griffiths, Mr. Boombastic himself, Shaggy, and so on, who now have ads that are running on major networks in the US. So, of course, some also ran in the Super Bowl, meaning Shaggy and Marcia Griffiths and a few other Jamaicans with the Electric Slide remake for Wrangler and their Jeep brand. Of course, like I said, Shaggy was included in that. We also saw the Sandals ad during the Super Bowl. Yeah, and man. That is, of course, set to Three Little Birds by Bob Marley and the Wailers. And the list goes on and on. Of course, there's also Mr. Boombastic. There's 5446 by Toots and the Maytals, which is used in a current set of ads for Levi jeans. The 501 TV commercial is out there using 5446. Mr. Boombastic premiered inside of a TV commercial on the 1st of January this year. That is Shaggy's Mr. Boombastic for another Levi's ad, and of course we had Sherry Lee Ralph performing at the Super Bowl. We had a Caribbean Queen, Rihanna, performing as well. So the Caribbean's looking good, and they are definitely hip to our sound internationally. We hope that trend definitely will continue. All right, 6:37 a.m. That's it for
Update.
And we've got a proverb for you to share this morning. And the one we're using today is no, I'm not going to use that one. That is just so regular. Okay. This one is: a bad workman always blames his tools. You're familiar with that one?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay.
One. Especially I'm used to that. I'm that to GSAT. Yeah, that enough. Yeah. I remember that.
So what this is talking about is this proverb is really used when someone blames the quality of their equipment or other external factors when they perform a task poorly. A bad workman always blames his tools.
That is true.
Sometimes if you just hold up to your mistake or your errors and your lack of judgment or whatever, man, lack of proper execution, own up to it sometimes.
So the spanner then on the opening, it can't get you bolted.
Using the language of a mechanic.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you're not talking about screwdrivers, man, you have me totally lost.
The man said some things a while ago.
Hey, right now, so the computer now clicking up, I ain't seen nothing on the screen right now.
And it affect your mix. All right now it's 6:49 and Shells has our pet peeve of the morning. Pet peeves are things that people do that you find upsetting, annoying, or very often irritating.
That's right.
Not worth imitating.
Please don't.
And now, here is the pet peeve of the morning.
All right, you all going to Bridge Nation. So my pet peeve, I know enough people can relate to this. You see the people that out there, we love send a long voice note them. May I talk 12 minutes up when you could have just make a phone call. Yeah, man. The feds need a special place in a lockup just for you. You understand me? So because when I understand why you send me a 12-minute voice note or 3 10-minute voice notes when you could have just called. You understand? Because if I have the time, Richie, to sit down and listen to 10 minutes each, obviously we could have take a phone call.
Gonna for right.
So pet peeve. Long voice notes. Can't work.
You just need to get to the point.
Yeah. Summarize, man.
I don't know what.
Or type it out. Someone can have the choice for kind of, so that when we want to see it. But no, so them long voice note, if you have your phone by your ears and these times, Yeah, long voice note. Not gonna work for me.
It can be a little irritating.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Max.
And sometimes
5.
now when you don't listen, then they find that irritating and upsetting.
Them see the blue mark. That's all. Yeah, my regular do that.
Okay then. Yeah. Well, is that something that you find upsetting as well, or are you guilty of the quote unquote crime? Long voice notes. Some people do find that irritating. So get to the point. Keep it nice and short.
Yeah.
And especially when we're playing radio games and we say, hey, give us about a 1 minute or so duration in your voice note. Don't give us 5.
One ear time.
I want to know how much 5 minutes costs on a prime time morning show.
Well, you get a story.
Whole interview.
A whole book they throw at you. Yeah, man, time is precious, so
right.
just get to the point and keep it nice and short.
Yeah.
All right, that's the moral of the story. That was the pet peeve of the morning. We want to celebrate Javon Ferron right now. Everybody's out there going, who the hell is Javon Ferron? All right, let me just tell you a little bit more. He's 29 years of age.
Okay.
The same Javon Ferron that we're talking about.
All right.
Does that help?
Not at all.
Oh, Lord. I can hear the answers coming in the chorus. No. Richie, get to it, no, man. All right, I will get to it. He just recently signed a contract with a major international company. Isn't that helping you now, Bridge Nation? Not yet?
Not yet.
All right, let me cut to the chase and just get to it. Masicka, the man we were talking about. Masicka, who recently surpassed 1 million subscribers on his official YouTube channel, has now signed with DefJam Recording Company.
Def?
That is big.
Def?
Yep.
That's right.
So after building up an international buzz with north of 100 million streams independently and earning widespread acclaim, Jamaican-born and Miami-based multi-talented singer, songwriter, DJ, and leader of the next generation of dancehall stars, Masicka, unveils his new track titled Pieces with Jashi yesterday on Valentine's Day and has signed a contract with DefJam Recordings. Pieces is the first release under this newly minted deal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
DefJam has always been the home for great artists across the wide spectrum of black music, and Masicka is very much emblematic, they'd say, of that vision, according to Tunji Balogun, chairman of and CEO of DefJam Recordings. Representing the new wave of Jamaican dancehall and reggae stars, Masicka's versatility and unique sonic perspective has the potential to impact markets all over the world. It feels like the beginning of something very special, he said, and we're very excited to welcome him to our DefJam family.
Wow.
As a lifelong fan of reggae and dancehall music, he said, I've been tracking Masicka's rise very closely. Said Latrice Burnett, Executive Vice President of DefJam Recordings and President of 4th and Broadway. He's a phenomenal artist and one we're proud to partner with as we continue our commitment to developing and supporting great artists from around the world. Masicka continues to make waves. He recently received a YouTube award for attracting over 1 million subscribers to his channel. Meanwhile, his most recent independent LP, 438, became Jamaica's #1 album of 2022 on Spotify, and the first project to spend an entire year in the top 10 of Apple Music Jamaica. He also emerged as one of 3 Jamaican artists in Spotify Wrapped Jamaica for a top 10 album. So there's a lot of good things.
Yeah.
And they close the release by saying, get ready for a whole lot more from Masicka soon. These are just the first pieces. Yeah.
Nice.
That is how they put it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, man. It is a good look for Masicka. 29 years of age and now getting a chance to step up his game, go get further reach internationally.
Yeah.
And we know that lyrically he's quite potent.
Yeah, man.
And I suspect that will continue well into his ensuing projects. We say congratulations to him.
Here you go.
It's time for us now to talk about the economy. And of course, yesterday, Governor General, His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, made the disclosure as he delivered the throne speech to open the 2023-2024 parliamentary year at Gordon House yesterday. He actually made some disclosures in relation to the National Housing Trust. But before we even get to that, the speech was delivered under the theme, A Stronger Jamaica, Consolidating Our Recovery, Reigniting Our Decade of Growth. Later in the afternoon, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, he tabled a $1 trillion budget, and that is for the first time in Jamaica's history, a $1 trillion budget was tabled, and that is why we have with us at this time well-known financial analyst Dennis Chung to help us to dissect this budget and to give our listeners a greater understanding of what it means for all of us. Good morning and welcome, Dennis. How are you doing today?
How you doing, my friend?
Not too bad at all, my bro.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you for joining us at short notice. Dennis, this seems quite significant. First time in Jamaica's history, a $1 trillion budget. Are we making a lot of noise about something that is not deserving, or is it something deserving?
It sounds good. It's a good headline, but what it means is that our dollar don't worth nothing.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
You understand? Because in real terms, it's not really a lot of US dollars. So, that's really what it means. So, I mean, I don't get caught up in those things,
Okay. But when you speak, very often you make the headlines. So let me ask you this one now. How will this budget be funded? I'm interested to find that out.
I think the taxes that are there already and the fees will actually take care of it. I don't think we're going to see any new taxes. We might see some restructuring of fees. So, for example, from the NSWMA point of view, we're pushing to have increased fines this year, just like you saw the Road Traffic Amendment Act with increased fines. But in terms of new taxes, I don't think you're going to see any of those coming on. Of course, governments always have to, rejig and change up how taxes are applied, because as the economies change, as societies change, you have to take advantage of that, and make sure that the economy is the most efficient it can be. So some of that is necessary, but nothing new in terms of taxes.
Okay, that is always treated as good news to the ears.
Yeah.
But what are some of the primary areas of expenditure that has been tabled in this budget?
Well, the government spoke about capital expenditure primarily to do with the NWC, which means that improvement is coming in terms of the pipeline, the sewage system, and also the roads, right? So they're going to be improving the road network in Kingston and St. Andrew corporate area, and also the highway links. I would have loved to see, especially in the corporate area, that there's a much greater emphasis on improving public transportation, because that has the impact of moving people more efficiently, taking a lot of traffic off the road, so it increases productivity. But importantly, Richie B, when you have a good public transportation system running, you actually improve the standard of living of people. It is a decent thing to do to have a good public transportation system running, right? So that people can move about safely, comfortably, and that sort of thing, right? The government also spoke about legislative changes coming, a lot of it, and I think they're going to have to put a lot of not just time there, but also money, because these things take money to happen, and you're going to see some emphasis there. I think crime is going to be, and the fight against crime, the security and education is going to be of emphasis this year, right? And I think those are going to be the primary areas that you're going to see the expenditure.
Okay, greetings, Mr. Chung. Shells here. Now, for the average Jamaican like myself, sir, we're hearing all the big figures and the big words and all these things, but like you mentioned, in terms of like public transportation, all these changes, you're saying that it's looking like it's going to be for the benefit of the average Jamaican then?
Yeah, man. I mean, public transportation is something that is critical for an average Jamaican. I mean, I know everybody that I know. I mean, if you go to New York, for example, you don't go in a private car. You jump on the subway because it's safe, and you get around a lot more efficiently. And it's a decent way to move people around, So I think we need to improve what we have right now. I mean, you don't have enough JUTC buses. And if you get on one of those taxis or minibuses that ply the routes right now, you know, you have to write your last will and testament before you get in, you know, because you don't know if you're going to make it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Dennis, with this now announced $1 trillion budget, I'm trying to find out, does this mean that the government might very well have to borrow large sums of money to finance this budget? Portions of it?
No. In fact, the budget from a real term, you know, when you consider inflation, is actually less than what it was last year. So the government is not going to have to borrow money. In fact, you know, one of the remarkable things that a lot of people don't speak about, and, you know, commendations to the government and the BOJ in terms of the management over the past 2 years, because the interest rate increases at the BOJ were necessary, although a lot of people are fighting it. And also the fact that the government said, listen, we're not going to be spending any more money on social safety net. You know, we're going to be fiscally prudent. It was also a necessity to get us here. But Richie B, one of the things that has been said that a lot of people don't think about, for the first time in a very long time, we are not only going to go below pre-FinSAC levels of debt to GDP ratio, but we're going to be paying all our interest costs out of revenue. That means we're not borrowing Peter to pay Paul anymore. We are now generating money to service our debt. That's a remarkable achievement.
That's a big achievement. Yeah. And coming so shortly after the pandemic that really put us in a bad way.
Yeah, well, I think the government has managed this pandemic very well. I mean, I think things could have been done differently somehow to improve it, but you know, in the main, I think they managed it well. You know, because it did ravage the rest of the world in many respects, and you know, I didn't agree with some of the decisions that were taken globally, but they've managed it well. I mean, one of the things that is going to be the main problem for me going forward, right, is that irrespective of how much the debt to GDP ratio goes down, irrespective of how much the economy grows, we're not going to see the improvement in the daily lives of the average Jamaican, right? Because what we have not done, right, as government, because over administration since 2013, is focus on productivity improvements. And I mean, no matter how much an economy grows, if an economy grows and needs 100 new engineers every year, and you're not an engineer, you can't benefit from that. And that is a real issue that we're going to be faced going forward. So the economy is going to improve. You know, the people who have capital, there's a greater returns, but the average man with the productivity is not improving because we have failed to address labor market reforms since 2013. Because a major thing is not going to see an improvement in standard of living.
That's not good news to the ears. I was talking to an economist, and he was pointing out that, well, sooner or later, he said, you know, we would have gotten to this $1 trillion budget. And based on the inflationary pressures and the spending that's going on, he pointed to the whole matter of the road network building out, places like on the Mandeville side and the St. Thomas side and so on. How do you think this might all impact inflation going forward?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to have a big impact. I think inflation is going to normalize down to target rate ratio, you know, maybe 6%, 7% a year. You know, the improvements in the road network, it doesn't really have impact.
Dennis, the phone is cracking up, and you're making a very important point. I'm going to ask my tech op to just redial you very quickly so that we can have, because he made a point about inflation and where it might end up, which I think it is a very, very important part of the conversation. So Romy is going to just try to do a quick redial so we can continue with that answer and move on to wrapping up the interview with Dennis Chung, well-known financial analyst, looking at the $1 trillion budget that was tabled in Parliament here in Jamaica yesterday by the Minister of Finance, Nigel Clark, and all the implications for the common man is really what we're looking at. So we should be getting Dennis any second now. Yes, thank you once again, Dennis. So make the point in relation to inflation. Yes, you were saying? Yeah,
I'm saying I don't think we'll see a great impact if it's managed properly, because you see, as long as we don't continue to borrow, right, the debt going down as a percentage of GDP, it means there is more money available for that sort of capital expenditure. And the roads do need improvement, right? And then understand also that as you improve your road network, as you improve your public transportation system, there's also an improved efficiency and productivity that comes with it. So while you're spending money, you'll be earning more money also on the productivity side, right? And that's important to understand. And some of these roads really need improvement. Like Mandeville, I think I went to Mandeville the other day, and I used to live in Mandeville. I moved back up here a very, very long time ago. And I think the roads are the same. You know, nothing has
after all these years. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to do that improvement. But at the same time, also, we have to improve public transportation system. I think that is even more critical than the road improvements, to get good public transportation system on the roads that can cut down on the number of cars. Because what's happening in Richie, one of the ways to improve your standard of living by having a good public transportation system is that you don't have to buy a car. You don't have the expense of a car. You know that you can go out and you can get a bus, right? At a certain time, and you're not waiting more than 2 seconds.
Efficient transportation is key.
It's critical.
Yesterday I was on the road in the afternoon, maybe somewhere in the region of say 132, to get from New Kingston to Constant Spring Road. That took me 45 minutes.
And Richie, if you could get there in 10 minutes, you could be doing something productive.
Exactly.
In another 35 minutes.
Exactly. I don't know if you have paid much attention or noted the announcement in relation to the National Housing Trust. We understand will introduce a new financing model during the fiscal year 2023-24 that will entail partner arrangements, it is said, with regulated mortgage lending institutions. Have you noted that?
I saw that, and when I read it, I was saying to myself, I hope that it does not increase the cost of lending to people. Because once you add a partner, it means markup. You know what I mean? And that's what came to mind, that I hope it does not add bureaucracy, number one.
Yes.
And also an increasing cost to the borrower.
All right. We support you on that. All right. Well, listen, I want to thank you for at short notice coming on and looking at aspects of the $1 trillion budget. Thank you once again, Dennis. And we know we can depend on you. Have a great day today.
Respect, man.
All right, you too.
All right, take care. Dennis Chung, well-known financial expert, financial analyst, giving us some perspectives on the $1 trillion budget.
I like how he started.
Yeah.
It's just like the social dollar don't make no sense. You know what I mean? It's just as simple as that. Good start. It makes sense. You know?
Yep. So. I hope that the dollar remains stable in all of this as well, because we know that things can spiral out of control when the dollar devalues.
Also, Richie and Shells, it's good to hear that, we're not borrowing.
That is good news.
You're not borrowing from Peter.
The no new taxes and the no borrowing are always things that we welcome.
Yeah, man.
That's Masicka, who's now signed to DefJam Recordings. Big contract for Really, really phenomenal artist. By the way, just before we get into the meat of the matter, I just want to put out a reminder. Of course, we're inside of Reggae Month 2023, and there is what is called Reggae Wednesdays happening downtown Kingston at the Festival Marketplace on the Kingston waterfront tonight. And it kicks off at 7 o'clock this evening, as a matter of fact. It's called Love a Dub. And look at the artists that's on it tonight. We've got Danique, there's Nikki, that's Nick Taylor, and of course Vibrations. There is this brother man Fahrenheit steps out tonight, and D Major will be there, as well as the big boss himself, Glenn Washington. Like I said, it starts at 7 o'clock. I'll be there as the host, and you know when we step out, we're going to see a whole lot of thousands of people. So just make sure you get there early and plan to have a good time as we celebrate reggae in this Reggae Month. That's just one of the items that we're looking at this time. Shells, you got a few as well.
Yeah, man, definitely. So I haven't been able to afford this brand just yet, but I've always been a fan of the creative directors, and this luxury brand just, appointed a new one. Now here we'll go on. We know the great Virgil Abloh. He passed recently, and he was the creative director at Louis Vuitton. Genius. Well, they actually appointed his best friend, or his very good friend, Pharrell Williams. He is now going to be Louis Vuitton's next creative director. Now, here we go on Bridge Nation. The luxury French fashion house has chosen the multi-platinum producer to take over Abloh's vacant position as the brand's creative director. Williams, who is also a Virginia native like Abloh, will join the luxury brand amid historical growth. In 2018, Louis Vuitton became the first $10 million luxury brand and managed to compound that figure in just 4 years. Following a surge in post-pandemic earnings, Louis Vuitton now sits at $20 billion in revenue, making it the biggest luxury brand in the world. That is a good look. Big up for him.
And the boss himself, who also owns Moet and Hennessy, is currently the richest man in the world.
It makes sense.
Yeah, man. So, the thing go.
It makes sense.
That's a good move and a big appointment.
I like the
Pharrell.
fact that it's Pharrell, because he was very close to Virgil and genius himself. So it's nice to see what comes next out of that brilliant mind. So,
You watch and see.
No,
I don't own many of those pieces, actually.
I don't.
First thing
any.
comes to mind is a belt that I own.
Any.
And maybe one or two other pieces, but not much. And for good, with good reason. Costs too much.
Yeah,
we do take them as gifts.
I got a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
I got like a t-shirt.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're good. If you have the money, definitely. It's good.
You're talking about like a suit and
A suit.
But
Suit.
Give me 5 years, man.
You take a socks.
Yeah.
You take a pair of socks.
Out of the 1 trillion budget first.
I have to hasten to say though, the shirt was a gift.
Of course. As Richie said, we'll take the gifts.
Yeah, we'll take the gifts.
We'll take the
Definitely.
gifts. All right.
Chris Brown is also in the news. You saw what he said about UFOs?
Yeah, so he's another creative mind, and this is the other side of having a creative mind. So here we're going. So Chris Brown said in his story recently, because US has they've been shooting down a lot of UFOs and spy satellites, balloons and all these things. Well, Chris Brown is saying, I know this hella random, but don't fall for the fake UFO, UAP false flags. Extraterrestrials have been visiting us for a long time. Some live amongst us. We are the only destructive species dooming our existence. So don't let them run with this narrative. Just say I'm crazy, but also make your own judgments. They're just starting acknowledging the possibilities of UFOs and UAPs. Now they're shooting everything moving out the sky. Hey, this message is for uneducational purposes.
All right. He doesn't believe all of what they're putting out there at all. That's Chris Brown for you. Talking about that, by extension to that story, Shells, China, not too long ago, this morning actually, they put out a statement and they're threatening the U.S. And some entities of the U.S. over the downing of that balloon. They have not made it clear, what measures they'll be taking and what entities might be affected. But they're saying through their foreign ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin, not giving much details, but they're saying that certain measures will be taken. They're insisting that the balloon was an unmanned weather airship that had accidentally blown off course, and they're accusing the U.S. of overreacting in bringing it down by firing a missile from an F-22 fighter jet. So it looks like things are bubbling up to a boil.
Listen, man.
Between these two nations who are very powerful on this planet Earth.
Listen.
That's funny.
China, U.S., easy, man.
Yeah.
They're looking for a reason. Both of them looking for a reason.
We carried the story earlier on about Masicka and congratulated him on signing with DefJam.
Big up.
We must also say congratulations to DJ Khaled.
Another one.
Yeah, DJ Khaled is also in a bigger partnership with DefJam that was announced just yesterday. And it is fair to say that he's now to be regarded as a global consultant for the DefJam Recordings label. So, and he brings a certain amount of star power and a lot of connections, which I'm sure and I feel confident that Masicka will be able to benefit from going forward.
I agree.
So the future looks really good. One other thing that I wanted to mention before we get out of this segment is that Donald Trump now looks like he's going to be having a challenger if he wants to even run for presidency for 2024, as it has now been announced that a former Republican governor for South Carolina, her name is Nikki Haley. She has put herself forward as a candidate for the 2024 presidential race, and she's the first Republican, as we mentioned, to announce a challenge to Trump. If he had a lot of compliments for her, those are going to be removed, I suspect.
I agree.
He will not have kind words for her, knowing Trump. So we'll see how that pans out. But let's see how it goes. That's all we can say right now.
That's right.
All right, those are some of the stories that we're monitoring. It's 13 now past the hour of 9 o'clock, and it's more on Top of the Bridge.
Up and go.